Welcome to SVG-TV News for Thursday, March 9th, 2017. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. Still in celebratory mood after the decision given by the Court of Appeal, which favored the re-entry of the petitions in the High Court, opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday is now calling for fresh elections. At a media conference today, Dr. Friday says that the ruling, which was delivered in St. Lucia on Tuesday, the 7th March, validates his legal team's argument that there was an apparent bias in the deliberation of Justice Brian Cottle, who struck out the petitions from the local High Court. The opposition leader also took the opportunity to thank their legal team, as well as those who kept the issue alive, such as the frontline protesters.
There are so many people who have kept faith and belief in our cause. I particularly want to thank the people on the front line. They are there because of the cases, and they continue to keep the public focus on them. What it means today is that the general elections of 2015 have still not been settled. Central Leeward and North Leeward constituencies specifically, but as many of the problems that were identified there were reported elsewhere, the whole elections remain under question. This can only be settled in fresh elections. We will continue with the legal struggle, but there are also political solutions to this problem, and we will call on the government to do so in accordance with what the Court of Appeal said expeditiously.
Referencing cases such as Joseph and Reynolds 2012, Attorney Kebati strengthened her reasoning that the decision made by the Court of Appeal was fair. She also said her team is now in preparation gear for a retrial.
The ULP respondents, what they're doing, they're trying to strike our case out before it even begins. And the law is that what we should do is to ensure that these rights are guaranteed and that our case is heard. That is the aim. The matter, as you have heard, has been sent back to the High Court. This means that the petitions are in issue, they are before the court, and we are going now to prepare for trial. Now you may ask about the motion. The motion was filed, so it is still before the court. But the aim really, because of the high public interest, is that a case should be determined on its merits. It means that the petition should be heard because we have a very strong and powerful petition in both of the constituencies, North Windward as well as Central Leeward, and it should be determined on its merits.
And Batiste claimed that the Court of Appeal judges seemed astonished with the overwhelming evidence presented by her legal team, which was led by Queen's Counsel Stanley Starkey John. Batiste said justice has prevailed in the interest of all Vincentians.
When we began arguing the matter, before we were finished, the judges stopped us and said they will take a break. We felt very good then because we realized that they were with us. They took a break, they came back, they allowed Mr. Asfan to continue, finish his arguments, and after the lunch break, we came back and the judge said we're ready to make a ruling. It was unexpected for us because generally we expected that they might have reserved and give us a judgment after. But the judges, I think, were so incensed about the facts of what happened that, as our leader says here, they said that we presented a very powerful case on apparent bias. And as a result, they sent the matter back to the High Court.
The attorney at law ignored statements by the respondents stating that they are confident they will prevail should the matter go back to court.
Now, I have heard the comments made by Mr. Asfan almost to the effect that he's going to have the court review it. Don't worry that. That is just political, talking politics. Legally, that's the end of the matter. So the matter is now back before the High Court. We, as the petitioners, are going to start preparing for trial. If they wish to bring on their motion again, they are quite free to do that. But I can tell you, members of the press, and Vincentians and all right-thinking persons who are listening to us, we are very confident that should this matter go back before a court on an even playing field, we shall prevail on the issue of whether the surety is good or not. We are very confident about that. We will prevail on that point.
And one of the attorneys for the respondents, Richard Williams, says they're getting ready for a rehearing in the local court. Speaking to SVG-TV News via the telephone, Williams says that while they initially prevailed and had the petition struck out before Justice Brian Cottle, the statement made by the local High Court judge in his ruling that the petitions brought forward by the NDP was a fishing expedition may have severely affected the outcome at the Court of Appeal in St. Lucia.
As we all know, the government, the supervisor of elections, and the candidates had made an application to have the petition struck out because they did not comply with a particular form for the recognizances. We prevailed in that initial application. The judge, when he heard the matter first, had said that we had come a little earlier than we should have. But in any event, he expressed his view on what he thought the law was. And he had made a statement that if the very applications were made at a subsequent date, based on his understanding of the law, he would strike the petitions out.
Analyzing the Court of Appeal ruling on Tuesday, the 7th March, which deemed the ruling by Justice Cottle in the lower court as having apparent bias, Williams described the statement as unfortunate.
Now, that turned out to be quite an unfortunate statement, because when we went to St. Lucia, the Court of Appeal took the view that the judge had predetermined the matter before it had formally come back to him. And they thought that that was evidence of a principle in law called apparent bias, where it seems like you had predetermined the outcome of a matter before it came before you. So what the judges did, in an interest, having regard to the nature of the matters, and they sent the applications back down to be reheard before a different judge. So this is where we are now. We are presently awaiting a hearing date so that we can go to have the same matter reheard. But in my opinion, the law is the law, so we wait and see what happens.
Today, March 9th, 2017, is being observed across the globe as World Kidney Day. Right here in SVG, efforts are being made to sensitize the Vincentian public about the effects of chronic kidney disease and how persons can do their part to ensure that they do not become victims to the silent killer. Earlier today, Health Solutions Incorporated, in collaboration with the Mystique Charitable Trust and the SVG Retired Nurses Association, held a health fair to build awareness, as well as offer free blood sugar and pressure testing to the public. Nikita Tony has more in this report.
Known as a silent killer, kidney disease can largely affect a patient's life, but there are ways in which a person can reduce their risk of developing the disease. In observance of World Kidney Day, a health fair was held here today, Thursday, March 9th, by the Health Solutions Inc. in collaboration with the Mystique Charitable Trust, the SVG Kidney Society, and the SVG Retired Nurses Association, where persons were able to gain knowledge on how to have a healthy body and kidneys, as well as get free blood sugar and pressure testing. Managing Director of Health Solutions Inc., Pauline De Freitas, called for persons to become more aware of the disease due to the rising numbers of persons living with high blood pressure and diabetes, which are key contributors to developing kidney disease.
We're also seeing younger people now actually get diagnosed with diabetes, get diagnosed with hypertension, and we're trying to bring awareness. And we want people to know that if you do have diabetes, high blood pressure, please make sure to follow the medical regime that's prescribed. Please make sure that you take your tablets, but also know that along with the tablets, you have to make sure that you do your part on your diet and a healthier lifestyle. Anytime people can call us, they can go to their healthcare professionals here, they can call Health Solutions for any information or even a pre-screening as well. We're more than happy to do that. Our phone numbers are 451-2836.
Noting that her organization is pleased to be a part of the sensitization initiative Administrative Assistant at the Mustique Charitable Trust, Sheena Child, urged other business entities to get involved in the movement.
Diabetes is a huge problem in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, so we are trying to do our part to help to reduce the number of people who have diabetes and pressure. So we're hoping other business places will come on board and do the same thing. We provide funding to Health Solutions to assist some patients with hemodialysis treatments. It is extremely expensive, so therefore prevention would be better than having to go and do dialysis.
PRO of the SVG Retired Nurses Association, Anita Williams, called on Vincentians to take a more serious approach in getting and staying healthy.
We keep checking blood pressure and sugar, weight checks, and giving counseling to citizens all over the island. And we would like to encourage persons to make sure that they have a healthy diet, make sure they eat properly, so that their body can function well. Because without a healthy body, you get sick, you cannot function as you want to. You definitely may not be productive citizens.
We also caught up with a kidney patient who urged persons to gain knowledge of the silent killer as well as ensure they get tested.
Kidney patient since April of 2013, and since then I have been on dialysis because my kidneys, they were damaged. I am a kidney patient, and it's very important for Vincentians to come out and check their status to see where they are. You can come at the Health Solution Inc.
The SVG Kidney Society advises the Vincentian public to become more aware of their overall health as they work together to build a healthier nation. Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
Let us move from rhetoric to action as we continue to acknowledge the accomplishments of women and girls. That's the encouragement given by educator and activist Chelsea Ferdinand as she made her presentation last evening at a conference held in commemoration of International Women's Day. Ferdinand said that whilst the media and male counterparts have contributed to the existence of gender equality, she acknowledged that the thing women choose to accept and follow also plays a significant role in the existence of gender inequality. Ferdinand called for an all-inclusive, collaborative and reformative approach in tackling the issue of gender inequality.
Gender equality in favor of women requires a collaborative approach for both genders. Addressing injustices faced by women today, such as domestic violence, wage gaps, unpaid work, legal barriers, and a lack of social protection will take tenacity from both public and private sectors and a more deliberate focus on spiritual values. So being bold for change encompasses more than feminist views. It is operating with the understanding that in order to achieve a Sustainable Development Goal 5, which speaks to gender equality and empowerment for all women and girls, men and women must be on board, and the role of women in all spheres of life must be seen as equally important. Let us move from rhetoric to action as we continue to acknowledge and encourage the achievements of women and girls.
Speaking on the topic of women in politics was lawyer and Senator Zita Barnwell, who stated that whilst women must continue their thrust for gender equality, she encouraged them to embrace their feminine side and uniqueness and continue to make their contribution in society.
The other challenge that you hear all the time is that women, when you get involved in politics, that you must act and be like a man to show that you're strong, to be that you're aggressive. I've been told once after my first parliamentary debate that you need a little bit more fire in your belly. You need to sound a little bit more strong like those men. And I'm like, okay, I have to be who I am. I have to embrace my feminine side. I need not try to appear as if I am man to be in a male-dominated arena. Because why would I want to do that when I am different? While we fight for gender equality and gender equality, we must also acknowledge that we are different. And there, in life and in nature, there is diversity, as there will be in terms of when we approach each other.
Barnwell added that in relation to the objective of gender equality and equity, a cultural shift must take place.
The first thing I would say in terms of recommendation is that cultural shift that is required so that we can remove the cultural challenges. And one of the ways that we can do that is that we need to be able, as women, I've heard all of it here that women are their worst enemies, but maybe what we need to do is that women need to start looking at themselves less as competition against each other and compliments to each other. Just as we say that, you know, the men in our life compliment us, we are sisters, we are brothers. When we say this is my sister, this is my warrior sister, we must be true to form. When we say that, we must act as such that we are warrior sisters to each other. We are not warrior sisters in the sense that we want to tear down a man or tear down each other. We are saying we are warrior sisters in our objectives, our goal for gender equity and for gender equality.
Local historian Dr. Adrian Fraser has described the historical writings on the incidents leading up to the death of this country's national hero, Joseph Chattoyer, which cites a duel with Major Lee as pure fantasy. Speaking at the opening ceremony of the 4th Garifuna Conference here, Dr. Fraser said the military reports do not include Major Lee and considers the story about Chattoyer's death as part of British psychological warfare.
In none of the reports, including that of the governor, is Major Lee mentioned. Governor Seaton singled out Captain Skinner and Campbell and Lieutenant McIver, but fails to mention Major Leet. Major Leet's tombstone, as I think most people should know, was placed in the Anglican Cathedral, and it had written on it, I quote, "His death was occasioned by a great fatigue he endured during the Carib War, in which, as colonel of the militia, he bore a distinguished part, the Carib chief Chattoyer falling by his hand." Following Wationgo, this was really British psychological warfare, designed to show the superiority of their major and to dampen the spirits of the Caribs.
According to Dr. Fraser, history is not set in stone, and each era allows historians the opportunity to re-evaluate data which could and in rewriting the story of Joseph Chattoyer.
Each era presents new questions which historians must ask of their data. Now today, we are very environmentally conscious, and as historians look at these documents, matters relating to the environment would actually be a part of their questioning of the data. New evidence leads to reassessments and reclarifications. The story of Chattoyer is not fixed in stone, despite the difficulty of rehabilitating the story of his people and recovering his narrative. So that's Strollin Scribbler, when he said that he had learned that in school and nothing could change that, was obviously quite unaware that history is not a dead subject where everything is cast in stone. The villain so described by the British is now our national hero.
The involvement of the youth is critical to any developmental efforts, whether it is cultural, sustainable, and/or national. With this in mind, the Garifuna Heritage Foundation continues to incorporate the youth of SVG in the various activities to sensitize them about the Garifuna heritage and culture. Speaking with SVG-TV earlier this week, Chairperson of the International Garifuna Summit Planning Committee, Zoila Ellis-Brown, pointed out that the organization has seen it fit to discuss how to get the youth more involved so as to take the Garifuna culture and traditions forward.
Is the beginning, this is the beginning of a discussion now with the young people as to, okay, this is the message, but perhaps the packaging or the way of delivery, we are not maybe doing it in a way that is targeting young people. So talk to us, let us have this discussion about how to get this information more effectively channeled to young people. And so that, I think, will be very interesting to hear from young people their suggestions and ideas regarding how they can best become engaged in the process.
Commending the work of the Ministries of Education and Culture for playing a role in developing activities to get schools more involved in Garifuna cultural activities, Ellis-Brown outlined some of the events scheduled to take place during the 2017 Garifuna Summit, which would engage the youth.
Is for DVDs of Garifuna films to be sent to the different secondary schools, and the ministry has agreed to have these DVDs, these Garifuna films, screened during the school period this week and possibly next week and the week after. I think that that is an excellent way to begin to continue to sensitize them and provide them with information in an interactive manner, that they can stop the DVD, speak about it, and have this ongoing discussion. We will be having our third National Garifuna Folkloric Festival for schools, and primary schools and some secondary schools will be participating in this event. It's usually a very exciting and uplifting and empowering event. The students who take part in the program will appear and deliver cultural renditions of their interpretation of the Garifuna heritage.
Ellis Brown urged not only the youth but the entire Vincentian public to be a part of the exciting learning experience.
We sit down in the library, in the conference room. The films, 4 films will be screened, Garifuna films, in an ongoing basis, and there will be an opportunity for any person to just be exposed in a continuous manner to the information on the heritage, Garifuna heritage and culture. So certainly I hope that all members of the public can take advantage of this opportunity to go and view these films. So I think that it's going to be really interesting and exciting, and all the schools that participate are really energized, through the process. And last year I went, it was very moving to hear the renditions, to see the children performing, and I think that it is going to be a wonderful event again this year.
And as part of the sensitization exercise on the Garifuna heritage and culture, as well as to showcase locally made and designed products, the Garifuna Heritage Foundation has mounted a heritage village in the vicinity of Heritage Square as part of the activities of the 4th International Garifuna Summit. Earlier today, our news team caught up with the organizers as well as local producers who took the opportunity to be a part of the sharing and learning experience. Nikita Tony has more in this report.
Various local producers were given the opportunity to showcase their produce as the Garifuna Heritage Foundation hosted the Heritage Village right here at Heritage Square.
Highlighting that the Heritage Village, while providing an avenue to showcase the essence of the variety of products produced locally, is also a significant learning experience, President of the Garifuna Heritage Foundation, David Daki Williams, noted that the Heritage Village aids in building awareness among the public of how this country has and continues to progress.
It took hard work, it took dedication, and it took a lot of perseverance to be able to get where we are. And specific reference to Garifuna people, that struggle continues even up to today for recognition and for the preservation of their culture. Our events are intended to educate the Vincentian populace about the Garifuna heritage and the Garifuna culture. So my word to Vincentian is to take the opportunity of the balance of activities.
Williams also took the opportunity to urge other local producers to take advantage of all opportunities to develop their markets. He further urged the entire Vincentian public to come out and support the Garifuna Heritage Foundation at the remaining exciting events as they learn more about the Garifuna people, their history, culture, and heritage.
I want to encourage our producers, anytime there is an exhibition, please take advantage of it and come out and showcase your products. This afternoon, we will have the first appearance right here in Heritage Square of the Chief Chatelier Garifuna Dance Company out of New York. And we could catch them again after this evening, tomorrow night at the Memorial Hall. The admission to Memorial Hall is free. You could catch them in Oya on Saturday evening and at Rose Bank.
We also caught up with some of the producers who agreed that the Heritage Village did indeed provide an excellent opportunity to market their products, as well as learn about other goods produced locally.
I'm very proud of my people. They are very talented people, and I think often we don't have enough exposure opportunities like this. So I think it's very important.
Bringing back our ancestry. We have gone far from it. We need to get back, utilize what we have, eat what we grow.
Just showing basically what Vincentians can do with whatever resources that we have. You don't have to necessarily bring in foreign stuff.
We get the product out because most of my supporters then I get it by come here.
Very important, because as I was telling somebody today that they should have more more exhibition like this, or have a place like a flea market or somewhere.
People to buy local and to focus a bit more on helping someone who is looking for an enterprise and they want to develop something.
Young people, what the Garifuna used to produce in their time, because pottery is a part of the Garifuna skill, and as you know, it is dying in St. Vincent. So we need to get this thing back on track, and that the young people will get interested in the whole art of making things from clay or pottery.
The Garifuna Heritage Foundation invites one and all to be a part of the learning experience through its International Garifuna Summit, which is set to culminate this Tuesday, March 14th.
Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.